Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today's topic is going to be about Avery Williamson and how he unfortunately tore his ACL last night in the game against the Falcons. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So normally the day after games, I'm going to be doing recaps. Unfortunately, last night I did not see a big chunk of the game. I was in Atlantic City. I was on my vacation. So I am later in the week going to do my 3 takeaways when I rewatch the game. But with this news today, I felt like this would be more appropriate. So we're going to talk about Williamson now. And then later in this week, we're going to do my 3 takeaways from the game against the Falcons. So, let's get started. Second preseason game, and this is exactly what you don't want to see. A huge piece on the Jets defense goes down with a torn ACL. His season is over after just 2 preseason games. It happened in the second quarter, and there's about 3 minutes and 44 seconds left in the first half, which raises to question, why was Avery Williamson in there to begin with? Most of the backups were already in for the Falcons, so it would have been a perfect opportunity to see what a Neville Hewitt or Blake Cashman, 2 people we're going to talk about in just a few minutes as potential replacements, what they could do. There's no reason why you should have your starters that late into the game, especially in the second preseason game. In the first preseason game, usually it's just a drive, maybe 2 at the absolute most for your starters. Usually second preseason game is about a quarter. And then the third preseason game where guys play the most is about a half, maybe a little bit into the second half. And then your starters don't play at all in the fourth preseason game. I don't know why Adam Gase still had his starting linebackers and starting defense in at that point, but there should have been no reason for Avery Williamson to be on the field when he did get hurt. In 2018, Williamson had a career high of 120 tackles. He was ranked 18th by Pro Football Focus out of 92 linebackers graded. Overall, he had a very solid first season in green and white and was looking forward to seeing what he could do in year 2 with the New York Jets, especially with the addition of CJ Mosley. Now at this point, it's going to be CJ Mosley and a question mark. I would have really liked to see Mosley and Williamson, so this is a huge blow to this Jets defense, who was strong down the middle. Let's think about it. Leonard Williams and Quinnen Williams, interior defensive linemen. Then you had Williamson and Mosley, interior linebackers. And then your 2 safeties, Marcus May, when healthy, and Jamal Adams. That's a real solid middle for that New York Jets defense. And now it takes a huge hit as Williamson, like I said, is probably a top 20 linebacker in the league. He's very, very solid, and it's going to be a huge step down. Your 3 potential options for replacement is Neville Hewitt, Blake Cashman, and Anthony Wynn. Last year, Hewitt started 4 games for the New York Jets after Darren Lee was suspended. He had 39 tackles. He's really just a depth player. He's good as a backup or rotational kind of guy who comes in just occasionally, but he is not someone who you want to be your starting interior linebacker for a full 16 games. That's why I think it's going to be a competition for the next 2 preseason games here and through the rest of training camp before the season kicks off. But he is certainly at the forefront, maybe the front runner, unless Blake Cashman shows and continues to show his potential. So through the first 2 games for Cashman and what I saw from last night, he is quick. I know in one of my previous videos, I talked about a scouting report that I read that said that he was slow. I'll admit I was wrong. He gets to the ball pretty quickly, but he isn't all that great in coverage and still has a ways to go. But he might be the more flashy choice. 5th round pick, definitely a little bit more higher ceiling. So he seems like someone who can get the nod as a late round draft pick. And who knows? Williamson wasn't really all that great in coverage to begin with, and Mosley's not all that great either. But Cashman could be what Darren Lee wasn't for this team. Could be a better version of Darren Lee, quick, get him going sideline to sideline, helping to stop the run, helping contain the short to intermediate stuff. But again, I keep shaking my head because Williamson was a big part of what this Greg Williams defense was going to do, especially from the inside linebacker position, and now it's taken a huge step back. And finally, for Wint, he had just 1 tackle in 2 games. I really would be surprised if he wins out this job. I think it's really between Neville Hewitt and Blake Cashman. Both of those guys are not nearly on the same stratosphere as Avery Williamson, so it really sucks. And it takes this Jets defense down a lot because I think they were a little overrated to begin with as an overall unit. And now when you take away one of the most important pieces on that defense, it gets a lot weaker because you could be able to put aside your weaknesses at edge rusher and cornerback when you have the talent at inside linebacker, interior defensive line, and safety. But with Marcus May banged up, with Avery Williamson going to be out for the year, that raises some question marks. If it's Neville Hewitt slash Blake Cashman, and if it's Rontez Miles or Doug Middleton at safety, this defense is not going to be good. It's going to be in a bottom third defense in the league. I know that sounds crazy when you have big names like Quinnen Williams, Leonard Williams, Jamal Adams, Tremaine Johnson, but they're just names. As a cohesive unit, this team has holes on it on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think fans realize that as much, and I feel like it's going to be put on display with Avery Williamson's injury, and the Jets are going to be in trouble. So I'm curious to see who gets the nod. But like I said, I think it's probably going to be between Blake Cashman or Neville Hewitt. And I might give the slight edge to Blake Cashman just because I think he has a little bit of a higher ceiling. We kind of already know what Neville Hewitt is. A good special team kind of guy, someone you want on your roster for second string depth, but not someone who you want to play 16 games a year. Blake Cashman, while younger, has flash potential, so potentially he could be them fit. But I think it's going to be an open competition down the stretch here in training camp and through the last couple preseason games. So real downer for the New York Jets. Sad news coming out of Jets camp today. Hopefully more and better stuff coming at you tomorrow. Maybe I'll do my reaction to the game tomorrow, my 3 takeaways from the game. But for now, it's not a good day to be a New York Jets fan. Let me know in the comments who you think should get the nod, whether it's Cashman, whether it's Neville Hewitt, or somebody else. Get at me on the comments or social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you guys next time.